Hey guys, what up? Today we're going to be doing a mouse review of the G Pro Superlight. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about this mouse already, but I'm just going to give you my 6-month rundown, my experience with the mouse, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. I've got a whole document typed up here that I'm going to read out to you guys and just sort of go over my thoughts just so I don't forget anything. But yeah, let's jump into the video, guys. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you love the video, hit the sub. And if you just dislike the video, just dislike it, guys. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Lets me know if I'm doing a good job or not. So let's jump straight into it. So let's jump straight into it, guys. I'm going to go over each part of the mouse step by step and kind of go through what I dislike and like about the mouse, and also comparing it back to the G Pro Wireless, the original one. So first things first, let's talk about the coating. The coating is a slightly more rubberized coating compared to the G Pro Wireless. I think it's going to be to each person's personal preference. Personally, I do prefer the older G Pro Wireless coating slightly more. This coating definitely does feel a little bit more premium though. I do really like the look of this coating, and it definitely does feel nice in the hand. I just think the G Pro Wireless to me feels ever so slightly better. So let's go on to one of the most important factors, which is the shape of the mouse. So the shape is exactly the same as the G Pro Wireless on paper, but somehow it does feel slightly different in the hand. I think the G Pro Wireless just feels a bit more bulky in the hand. I think that's just because of the weight. I feel like you can really feel the mouse in your hand, whereas the Superlight's so light that it's weird. It almost feels different, but even though the shape isn't, which is interesting. The shape is good in my opinion, but not perfect, which is the main reason why I moved on from the mouse. The shape is going to fit a lot of different people, a lot of different hand sizes and grip styles, but you know, I don't think it's going to be the perfect shape, at least for me. And that's because I prefer the hump to be more towards the back. As you can see, the hump is very centralized on this thing, and also the sides are straight, which I usually prefer, but because the mouse is, you know, made for a lot of grip styles, I also feel like they've actually made it quite wide for a mouse of this size. So I definitely think they could have gone a bit thinner on this one. So the sensor is the Hero sensor, which everyone is used to. But I would say that after testing the sensor side by side compared to like what Razer are offering with their 25K, or is it not 25K? I know it's their Focus Plus sensor it's called, but basically the Razer sensor for some reason just feels a little bit more responsive and consistent to me. And big companies have kind of confirmed that, as Vaxi recently started, well, not recently, but in the past year, they have said on their website and in videos that they prefer to use the 3389 as is a more consistent in X and Y sensitivity. So I would say that using a 3389 variant would be better for Logitech, but you know, they're still happy. They still seem to be happy using the 3360, and I think it's because a lot of people do just, you know, they're not really too fussy with their sensors these days. But going side by side compared to a Viper and the Superlight, I could feel the difference. It wasn't huge. If I was to put it into words, I would say the Superlight felt like I was moving a cursor around on the screen, whereas the Viper Ultimate felt like the mouse was the cursor. And it's a very small difference, but that small difference, like I said before, can make a big impact in game in terms of your confidence and stuff like that. And I also think it's because I'm a bit of a sensor snob. I always used to use the Razer Death Adder when I was growing up on PC games, and I just think I got used to a very fast, low latency sensor. And when I go to like a 3360, I can tell the difference. It just doesn't feel as crisp. I could definitely play with it. I could probably play just as good. I just don't feel as confident, and that can sometimes affect my performance. But overall, you know, the 3360 isn't going to cause any problems. I never had any, you know, any issues where the mouse would disconnect or anything like that. And I do know that they are using the top wireless chip inside for the signal, so the same as Razer and stuff like that. So I know that there's no problems with the wireless technology. It's just the sensor just isn't as good as the 3389 in my opinion. And I can feel a slight difference, but that's just me. If you're used to a mouse like a Zowie mouse or other mice like that use a 3360, you're not going to tell any difference with wireless versus wired. It does feel wireless in that respect. And after using the mouse for 6 months, I can happily say that the battery life is incredible on this mouse. It really does last a super long time. I can happily play, you know, a full Valorant game on 5% without even having to worry. The mouse just seems to chug along and doesn't seem to have any issues with its battery life at all. They could have probably even cut off some more weight off the battery because it just seems to last so long. I assume they're using quite a big battery in here, but maybe that would have set off the weight balancing of the mouse, as the weight balancing is exceptional. But you know, maybe that's left for the modders if they do want to cut off even more weight. Maybe it's just something to do with the efficiency of the Hero sensor, and maybe that's why they're still sticking with it. Maybe it's just so efficient that they love to use it for their wireless mice. Maybe it offers a good performance to battery life ratio. But you know, the Razer offerings did seem to last quite a long time, but not as long as the Superlight. They've definitely done a really good job in terms of battery life for this thing. So jumping on to the buttons of the G Pro Superlight. So the side buttons of the G Pro Superlight are just as mushy as the old ones, unfortunately, on the G Pro wireless. I thought they would improve them this time around, and they definitely should have, because there's no longer that magnetic, system where you could pull it off and put it on a different side for ambidextrous, users, like left-handed users and stuff like that. Unfortunately, you can't change them anymore, and they should have definitely improved the system that was underneath the mouse, because they've always felt a little bit more mushy than other side buttons. The left and right mouse button, unfortunately, are a small downgrade in this version. They use the Omron 20Ms now instead of the 50Ms, which, I wouldn't have a problem with, but they just weren't implemented very well. There's actually quite a bit of travel in the left and right click, more so than the G Pro wireless, and they also feel a little bit heavier, a little bit chunkier, I would say, in terms of a click feeling, which I just don't prefer. The left and right click do move quite a lot, as you can see. I'll move one at a time. And a little story was when I was putting on BTL grips for this mouse, I put them on the left and right mouse button, took them off a week later, and I almost broke my left and right clicks as I was taking them off, because they're quite they're just not very well into the shell. Like, they're a bit loose. So when I was taking them off, I was taking them off very carefully, and it was actually pulling up the left and right clicks, and it actually snapped out of place and was up a little bit on the edge here, and I thought I broke them, and it happened to both sides, and I was being super careful. So I wouldn't recommend getting BTL grips for this mouse, just because you can definitely easily break your left and right mouse buttons when taking them off, because the glue that they use, or the sticky tape that they use on the underside of the BTL grips is just quite strong, and it can quite easily pull these clicks off. The scroll wheel is actually a slight upgrade over the G Pro wireless. I think the scroll wheel on the G Pro wireless feels a little bit loose, whereas this feels a little bit tighter. Still light scroll feeling, but it just doesn't feel as loose in the shell, which is nice. Feels a bit more premium, just nicer to scroll through, and I do like the white and black design on that. The feet out of the box on the Superlight, unfortunately, were a little bit thin. They also weren't rounded, which is a bit annoying. Just kind of, I think, for a mouse that costs this much, they definitely should have put a bit more effort into the skates. I actually did end up changing the skates out quite quickly on the Superlight, so I don't really have much to say on the performance, but I remember they were a little bit faster than your average skates, but maybe lacked a slight bit of stopping power as well, which is the reason why I wanted to change them. Since then, though, I have tried the core pads, the Tiger Ice, and the Arc ones on the Superlight, and personally right now I've got the Arc ones, as they were my favorites. The Arc ones just give a little bit more control over core pads for a mouse this light, which I think is quite good, but they also do just have a general, I would say they felt the best on the glide as well. They just felt really, really good. They had a good amount of control, yet a good amount of speed, so I would recommend the Arc ones, but I also do have a video on, each of those pairs and how they compare in more detail on my other video, which there should be, a little tag up somewhere here, I believe. So yeah, that's the feet. They were just alright. They weren't anything special. I think Razer Viper Ultimate mouse feet out of the box are better than the ones on the Superlight. Overall, I would say that if the Superlight is the mouse that you're looking for, if you're looking for a wireless, lightweight mouse with this shape in particular, then I would say, it's a great buy. Go ahead. However, you need to think of the price, and you are probably going to be spending that money, once every year and a half, 2 years or so to keep, buying new ones of these, because they aren't going to last forever. Logitech quality is good, but it's only going to take them so far, especially seeing as there's already some issues like the wobbly, left and right buttons. The buttons don't feel the best. There's too much travel distance, and also the side buttons are mushy, and the PTFE feet out of the box aren't great. You're going to be changing them pretty quickly, even though it is a reliable and premium feeling mouse, apart from the things that I've just said. Unfortunately, when you can get a mouse like I said, from Vaxi and stuff like that, that just feel, incredible out of the box, and they just feel extremely premium, it's hard to recommend a mouse that costs double the price, but has more issues than those mice. Yeah, it's lightweight, yeah, it's wireless, but if it comes with, huge issues that could cause issues down the line, especially that's going to cost you a lot of money because you have to buy new ones, then, can I really recommend it? Not in full confidence. Only if you know that this is the mouse that's going to be for you, because if you're on this channel, you're probably going to be looking for the peak performance, and if this is going to be the right shape for you, and you want a light mouse for the game that you play, then yeah, go for it. But you know, after a lot of practice with different mice, you know, I've tried over 20 mice this past 6 months after trying the Superlight, and you know, I think my priorities are definitely a little bit more set in stone now. I definitely prefer, you know, the shape over everything. You know, RJN said it himself that he would actually prefer a lighter mouse and a worse shape, where because as long as the difference is big enough, 20 grams. But unfortunately, even though I respect Rocket Jump Ninja's you know, sort of opinion there, I would have to go against it and say that I do prefer the shape over the weight. I would happily have a heavier, better shaped mouse with a cable, and I'm going to do a full review on the NP01G soon. But yeah, I mean, I can recommend this mouse, but only to a certain type of person. And over the past 6 months, I mean, I can say it's definitely, you know, stood the test of time for 6 months at least. The clicks haven't failed yet, but they don't fill me with great confidence, and neither does the shape, and that's why I'm not going to be maining it anymore. As for reliability, you know, it's definitely a reliable mouse from Logitech. The software that they use is very efficient on your PC. It's not as bad as Razer. It's a little bit easier to operate. So overall, it's a great mouse, but I don't think it's worth the price tag. I would definitely say get it on a sale, but for full price, unless you know you want the mouse, I'd say it's a pass. But yeah, guys, that is my review of the G Pro Superlight. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and hearing me ramble on about the G Pro Superlight, and I hope you enjoyed the review. I will be doing a review of the NP01G, which I just mentioned earlier, and I'm also going to be doing a setup tour soon, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. And guys, if you like the video, hit the like button. It really does help me out. It gets me out to more people. Scrolling YouTube, it comes up in the recommendation side of things, which is, you know, a lot of the way that my views come in at the moment, because I'm a smaller channel. And also, if you can hit the subscribe button, guys, it just lets me know that I'm doing a great job, and also helps me with the algorithm. So yeah, guys, have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you guys sitting around and listening to my videos, and I will see you in a bit. Peace.